So I asked you to do page 125, 1, 2, 3, 4, no, 1, 2, 3, 4 and 6, wasn't it? Okay, does anyone need me to do number 1? No? Does anyone need me to do number 2?
Yes, please.
Number 2, yeah. Okay, so, wait, not like, organise this better. Right, so number 2, in an arithmetic sequence, T4 is 14. So 1, 2, don't know 1, don't know 2, don't know 3, do know 4. So term number 4 is 14, right? Okay, and term number 9, right? So that's 4, don't know 5, don't know 6, don't know 7, don't know 8, but do know number 9, it's 34. Okay, and it says write down A and D and hence get T13. Okay, so A and D and term number 13 is what I have to get. Okay, so let's go. I know 4 and I'm up to 9, so if I was to go, I'd add on a D, then I'd add on another D, then I'd add on a D, and I'd add on a D, and then I'd add on another D. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So if I start at 14 and I add on 5 Ds, I'll end up at 34. Okay? So alternatively, you could say this is term number 4, this is term number 9. 9 take away 4 is 5, so I added on 5 Ds. Okay? So D's on one side, numbers on the other. So 5D equals 34 minus 14 when it comes over the wall. So that means 5D is equal to 20. So then divide each side by 5 and you get D is equal to 4. So you're adding on 4 every time. So check your answer. 14 add 4 is 18, add 4 is 22, add 4 is 26, add 4 is 30, add 4 is 34. Great, I'm where I want to be. Now I also need to get the first term. So first term, add 4 gives me, second term, add 4 gives me, so add 4 onto this, I get 10. So that, or sorry, I get 14, so that means that term there must have been 10. Because 10 add 4 gives me 14. This one must be 6. 6 add 4 gives me 10. So the first term must be a 2. So the first term is a 2. Now the easiest way to get term number 13, it's very near, we're on term number 9. So the easiest way to get term number 13 is just count up. So 34, 38 is term 10, 42 is term 11, 46 is term 12, 50 is term 13. Okay, just make sure. 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Yeah, so term number 13 is 50. Okay, so there's no point going to the bother getting what TN is because it's so near, it's just easier count up. Right, is that okay, number 2? Right, anyone need me to do number 3?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, so number 3, right, in an arithmetic sequence, term 5 is 21, so I don't know the first 4 terms, but I do know the 5th term is 21. So I don't know the first 4 terms, I do know the 5th term is 21, and term 10, so term 5, term 6 don't know, term 7 don't know, term 8 don't know, term 9 don't know, term 10 is 41. Okay, so if I add on D here, I get the next term, and if I add on D, and I add on D, and I add on D, and I add on D, so if I start at 21, and I add on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Ds, I'll end up at 41. Alternatively, you could say term 5 up to term 10, there's 5 terms in the middle, so that means there's 5 Ds added on. Okay, that's supposed to be 41. Okay, D's on one side, numbers on the other, so leave the 5D equals 41. Bring over the 21, it becomes minus 21. So you get 5d is equal to 20. Then you divide each side by 5 and it ends up being 4 again. That's just a coincidence. Okay, it's not always 4. Okay, check your answer. Add on 4. Does that go to 25? Then add on 4, 29. Add on 4 is 33. Add on 4 is 37. And add on 4 gets me to 41. So I know I'm right. Okay, then I need to go backwards to find out A, the first term. So I'm adding on 4 every time, so that must be 17. And then 13 add 4 will give me 17. Then 9 add 4, then the first term must have been 5. So the first term is number 5. And then it says hence find Tn. So they've asked me to find Tn this time. So it's an arithmetic sequence, so I can use my formula A plus n minus 1 times d. So A is the first term, which I just figured out was 5. Right, remember don't fill in for n. D is 4. Then just put the 4 in the front, so you remember to multiply everything in the bracket by the 4. So that's 5 plus 4n minus 4. So that's 4n plus 1. So that's what Tn equals, 4n plus 1. And then they asked me to find term number 60. Yeah, term number 62. So to find term number 60, n stands for the number of the term. So instead of n, put in a 60. So it's 4 times 60 plus 1 into the calculator. With that, you'll get 241. Is that okay? Sorry, you can't see. Is that right? Number 3. Anyone need number 4? And anyone need number 6?
Yes, please.
Number 6, right? Okay. So number 6 reads, right, in an arithmetic sequence T4, so term number 4, so don't know 1, don't know 2, don't know 3, term number 4 they told me is minus 9. And then they tell me term number 15. Okay, now so, right, I could write in all the blanks, right, or I could say term number 15 is, what did I say, minus 31. So from term number 4 up to term number 15, there's 11 terms. So that means I added on D 11 times. Okay, rather than writing it out, okay, I'm going to do it that way, right? So I started at minus 9, then I added on 11 D's, and I ended up at minus 31. So D's on one side, numbers on the other. So leave 11D, minus 31 is here already. Bring 9 over the wall and it becomes a plus 9. So that means 11D is equal to minus 22. So divide each side by 11 and you end up with D is equal to minus 2. So that means you're minusing 2 every time. Okay? Now, to go backwards, right, okay, to find the first term, right, if you're going forwards, you minus 2. To go backwards, you plus 2. So that must mean minus 7, because minus 7 minus 2 will give me minus 9. This must be minus 5, and this must be minus 3. So A is equal to minus 3. Okay? The rest of that sum, is there more? Write down Tn and hence find which term is equal to minus 81. So to find Tn, girls, it's an arithmetic sequence. So we have a formula A plus n minus 1 times D. I've just figured out what A is and what D is, so you fill in for them. So Tn is equal to minus 3 plus n minus 1 times D is minus 2. Okay, just put the minus 2 at the front, so it's minus 2 times n minus 1. just be careful here, you're multiplying in by a minus sign. So that's minus 3 minus 2n plus 2. Okay, so that would be minus 2n, and minus 3 plus 2 is minus 1. Okay, so that's Tn for that. Okay, and then they said which term is equal to minus 81. So you don't know what you're filling in for n, but you know you filled in something and you ended up at, it is minus 81, was it? Yeah, you ended up at minus 81. So you don't know what you filled in for n, but you do know when you filled in something for n, you ended up at minus 81. So this is just algebra, n's on one side, numbers on the other. So minus 2n equals minus 81 plus 1 when it comes over the wall. So that's minus 2n is equal to minus 80. There's a minus 2 stuck to the n, so that means divide each side by minus 2. And you end up with n is equal to minus divided by minus is a plus, and 80 divided by 2 is 40. So term number 40 would be minus 81. Are we okay?
Thank you.
Right, okay, I'm going to leave those ones, okay, I'm leaving that section because really the harder ones are for next year, okay. I think if we know the easier ones, which we've just done, will be good, okay. Right, so the next section, girls, is an arithmetic series. So arithmetic series. Right, okay, so we just had a sequence, right, okay, so just say we have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, etc. That was your sequence there a minute ago. Well, for a series, girls, for a series, we just add a plus term. Instead of having a comma between terms, we have a plus term. For a series, we put a plus sign between terms. Okay, so sorry. So instead of having a commas, we put pluses. And we don't call them terms anymore, right? Okay, we don't call them terms anymore. We call them sums. So we have S1 is the sum of the first term. What does sum mean? Sum means to add. So you just add the first term, right? So S1 is just the first term, which is 2. S2 is the sum of the first two terms. So if you add the first two terms, girls, 2 plus 4 makes 6. Is that okay? So S2, so we just have pluses between them. If I was to get S3, that is the sum of the first 3 terms. So in this case, you would add the first 3 terms, which is 2 plus 4 is 6, 6 plus 6 is 12. So S3 is the sum of the first 3 terms, right? Okay, and so on and so forth. Sn is the sum of the first n terms. And obviously you don't know, they have to tell you what the n is. So if n is 4, you would add the first 4 terms. If n is 10, you would add the first 10 terms, right? If n is 100, you would add the first 100 terms. And you'll be delighted to know there is a formula, right, okay, for Sn, and it's in your log table, so you don't need to remember. So if I wanted to add the first n terms, right, it's n over 2 times 2a plus n minus 1 times g. Now it's not too dissimilar from the last one. This is on page 22 of your tables book. So this is page 22 of your tables. Sorry, can you all hear that vibrating? You can, I suppose. Right? Page 22 of the tables. Right? And again, girls, A is the first term. Like before. And D is the common difference, same as before. So for the one above, up there, A would be the first term, which is 2, right? Okay, so for above, A equals to 2, right? Okay, and D is the common difference, is what you're adding on each time. So D is also 2 because you're adding on 2 each time to go from 2 to 4 to 6 to 8 to 10, etc. Right? So Sn for the above one, right? We're just filling in the formula again. Can I move this up like that? Have I cut anyone off? So Sn, I've cut someone off. Is that okay? Yeah. Sn is equal to n over 2. Remember, we never fill in for n. So it's n over 2 times A is so it's 2 times A, which is 2 times the first term, 2 times 2, plus n minus 1 times D. So again, we don't fill in for n. Okay, so leave the n over 2 on the outside until the end, right? Multiply inside. 2 by 2 is 4. Here, move the 2 to the front before you multiply into your bracket. So you remember to multiply everything by 2. Okay. So that would be n over 2 times 4 plus 2n minus 2. And that would be, if I just finish it up here, that would be n over 2. Inside my bracket, I have 2n, and I have 4 take away 2 is plus 2. Do I need to multiply into the bracket? I don't think I do I? Will I? Or will I bother? No, I think I'll just leave it like that, and that's your answer. Okay, I'll do a second one there in a minute now. Is it okay if I take that away?
Yeah.
Right, yeah. Okay. Example 2. So, well, it's really example 1 because I never called that an example, I just did it. Example 1. So if I go 5 plus 8 right, so it's the same as the last time, girls, except when there's a plus sign we call it a series instead of a sequence. Right, okay, and when there's a plus term we want to add them. Right, okay, so another word for add is sum, so that's where the S comes from. Okay, right, so the question is find Sn and then hence find the S20. So they want you to find a general term and then they want you to find the sum of the first 20 terms. So if you were to write out the first 20 terms and add them all up, what would your answer be? Right, okay, so off we go to our log tables and we write out our formula. Sn equals n over 2 into 2a plus n minus 1 times d. Okay, so remember a is the first term. So a is the first term, so a is 5. Right? D is what you're adding on every time. So I'm adding on 5 to 8, 8 to 11. So I'm adding on a 3. Okay? Then I fill in. So you get Sn equals n over 2. Remember, don't fill in for the n. Right? Okay, 2 times 8, a is 5. So it's 2 times 5 plus n minus 1 times d was 3 here. Okay, right, so that means Sn equals n over 2 into 2 times 5 is 10 plus, multiply into the bracket there, so you have, well, put the 3 at the, I'll put the 3 at the front. You don't have to if you remember to multiply everything with the bracket. Okay, so Sn equals n over 2 into 10 plus 3n minus 3. Okay, 3 by n is 3n, 3 by 1 is 3. Right, okay. So continuing that on, you get Sn equals n over 2 into 3n, and 10 minus 3 is plus 7. And that'll do me. That's my Sn. So that's my general term. So they said find Sn. Then they said hence find S20. So to find S20, girls, everywhere I see an n, you stick in a 20. So I have 20 over 2 bracket 3 times 20 plus 7. And you type that as you see it into the calculator and press equals, and you will get 670. Okay, is that alright? So again, it's just filling out a formula. Okay, so I'm going to leave you off to do some of these. Okay, if you get stuck, don't worry, because they're only new, and I know there's loads of new words there. So if you do page 1 to 5, if you have a go for 1 to 5 for me, and I will do them out on Monday, okay, because I know we've just started it and I've really only done 2 examples, which probably isn't enough, but I'll do more on Monday, okay? So page 1 to 9, 1 to 5, sorry, did I cut someone off there? Okay, so you can head off now and start those, and have a nice weekend, and I'll talk to you on Monday.
Thank you.
Right,
Thank
bye.
you. Thank you.